So I want to talk about some pentatonic patterns, and I like them fast. Why should guitar players have all the fun? Yeah, I mean, we can't bend too good on a bass, so we're going to have to forget about that. But we can certainly play fast on a bass. How do you play fast on a lick? The first thing you have to think about is the lick has to be designed so you can move your fingers and use your technique. Some patterns are awkward and it's almost impossible to go fast. I put these licks together to go fast, to make sense. And there's a few rules you have to follow to make patterns happen. And one of them is meter. And the second one is play in time, of course. And the next one is technique. You have to think about all three of these things. If you like this video, please subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of the videos yet to come. Like and comment. Also, if you'd like to give me support at my Patreon page, you can download the notes, tabs, play-alongs at extended versions in different tempos. So what is meter? Meter simply means when you have a measure of music and you're in 4/4, everything that happens within that measure has to wind up being the sum of 4 beats. Whether you have a triplet and 2 8th-note rests and mixed up with quarter notes and whole notes and whatever, it has to wind up being 4 full beats. So the theory behind this is that is an A minor pentatonic scale. And it's most common, and most people that are listening to this have probably already experienced the shape and fooled around with it a bit. So it's just 5th fret E string, 8th fret, and then 5th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, and 7th fret. But we're starting on the 5th, see? Because I want to avoid that stretch with the baby finger, because I know a lot of players, they really don't develop that right away, and a lot of their playing in lines like this is using the 3rd finger, like. So I would play it like this. Right now, I'm going to go over that lick I played a minute ago, and I'm going to focus on the rhythm, analyze it, and basically show you the chemistry of the pattern. Let's take a look at the notation so you can get another perspective of this line, help you understand what's going on rhythmically. You can hear that there's something different there because it isn't even groups, sort of off centers, and I'm going to explain why you hear that. First of all, the first 3 notes, the 5th, the 7th, and the octave, there's 3 notes ascending. Then what you have is 4 notes ascending right after that. So you have on the 2nd group. On the 3rd group, you once again have 4 notes ascending. And then you have 1 note left over. This kind of offsets everything, and that's why it sounds so interesting. And it all adds up to 4 beats. And that refers to the meter explanation I just gave you. Next question is, where do you use this minor pentatonic scale? Let's try it on an A minor triad. I'm going to play you this line very slowly. There's a keyboard in there playing an A minor chord, so you can hear how the line works against the chord, as well as this counting up there, as you see. This is very important. I'll explain why. Because so far what I've explained to you is that this is sort of a 4 against 3 pattern. So it's hard to hear in 4/4 time. It's hard to hear your 4 beats because the line ascends for 3 on the first beat, and then the next beat and a half is going up 4 notes, and then 4 notes again, and then 1. So you see how that doesn't really work out mathematically for your mind. But if we add the counting, it subdivides the measure into 4 parts of 3. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and this references to where all the downbeats are, 1, 2, 3, and 4, as well as a full measure. And it is difficult to use this line unless you can hear it as a full measure. I did one more thing. I left a blank measure after I play it, the first measure. First measure, I play it. Second measure, you play it. This way, it gets set in your mind what it sounds like as one measure when you hear it, and then you play it. So I'm going to play it for you right now. Now that we're looking at this pattern, it's 4 sets of triplets starting from beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's check out what happens on the downbeat, what note is played on the downbeat, and how it relates to the pentatonic scale and the minor chord, which would be one and the same in this case. So we have the first note is an E right here, and that would be an E, and that would be a fifth. Okay, on downbeat 2, we have a D. That would be here, and that would be a fourth. On downbeat 3, we have an A. That would be a root. And on downbeat 4, we have a G, which would be a seventh. Now that we've divided this measure into 4 sets of triplets, and we've pointed out what happens on each downbeat 1, 2, 3, and 4, and how the notes relate to the pentatonic scale and the A minor chord, let's listen to each of the segments and see how they sound. Each downbeat has 3 notes, a different combination of 3 notes on each downbeat, so they all sound different. That's what makes this line unique, and it makes it a little challenging to hear and to execute. If you're going to use it, you have to know it inside and out. Okay, here's the first beat right here. I'm going to put a little circle around it so you know what we're doing here. And that would be E, G, A. Okay, let's try number 2, beat 2. And that is right here. And that would go from D, E, G. All right, beat 3 right here. Let's check that out. That's an A, D, E. And next, finally, the 4th measure. That would be a G, A, D. And finally, I play the whole thing, refresh a little bit. So that worked out pretty well, but it's a little too short. Let's add another measure, another phrase, a different phrase that still works with the A minor. See what happens. So now what we're going to do is add a second measure to our 2-bar phrase, which is this. All right? So we've already done the first measure, and we're going to add the second measure next, which would be right here. The only difference on the second measure is that it's up 1 string. The first measure of the 2-bar phrase was on the A and the D string, and the second measure is on the D and the G string. Okay, let's check this one out. Let's put both measures together and see how that goes. Right now, I'd like to discuss another possibility, and this possibility you can play fast for one reason. The reason would be is because I use one shape, I just shift the same shape, and it enables me to do less thinking and more just, mechanical movement with my hands, and I think it sounds pretty nice. You let me know, and you can also add your own permutations to this pattern just based on the shape. So the shape would be an in-position shape. That would include 4 frets. Like, for instance, we're starting from the 1st fret, we're starting from the 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th, and 8th fret. And it's like this. It will be the first couple of notes from the common shape of the pentatonic scale that most people learn first. But we're gonna explore a different area now, but I'm going to use a different shape. And I'm able to stretch out and go a little further up the neck. And I'm using one shape over, and I just shift that shape twice. I'd like to talk a little about this line, in particular, the technique and the theory. So let me start with the technique. And I want to show you, I have a pivot going on here to change positions as opposed to just moving your whole hand, which is more common. So it looks like this. You notice I'm pivoting when I go from the A string to the D string. And the pivot works with the baby finger to the index finger. So you baby finger, and then I move my wrist and hand to hit that, and then I spread my hand out and go on, and then again. Let me show you the rear view to actually see what I'm doing with my wrist and my fingers. On the first two examples, Part A and Part B included all 5 of the pentatonic scale tones. You had the 4, the 5, the flat 7, the 1, 3, and the 4 again, all 5 tones. However, on this example, there's no 4th, which makes it technically a minor 7th arpeggio. Now, I prefer you don't think of it as a minor 7th arpeggio, but as a pentatonic scale less the 4th. I feel that you should be aware that this is a minor 7th arpeggio, but if you're playing a pentatonic scale, think of it as a pentatonic scale without the 4th. That way, if you're expanding on the pentatonic scale, it creates less confusion to think that way.